mix.
Well, we're back in the action. Next band coming in from MNM. They'll have these second and third bands. They favor anything here on a map like Clubhouse. Well, they don't like Zofia, that's for sure. They'll remove Zof from action. The disruption capabilities, but additionally, if you're going to try to Maverick towards something, a Zofia is particularly crucial. Only one problem. Maverick is banned. So that eliminates at least one of the purposes of Zofia, but then remove her altogether. You don't want that LMG being used to spam fire into the middle of the bomb sites as almost a level of suppressing fire to keep your opponents pinned down. Kaid will join and Valkyrie round out the last of the bans. Maverick, Zofia, Kaid. Valkyrie for those that don't have a visual compass.
So that's interesting. I feel like this heavily favors kind of CCTV. You can now bandit trick the wall quite effectively because the Maverick's off the board, the Kite's off the board, and yeah, the Thatcher is open just like on Cafe. I like this actually, it's interesting. Oftentimes when the Thatcher is open, the Kaid doesn't really matter, but this time around, MNM will just ensure that it's not available to either team. They'll ban it out, and NIP says, you know what, we don't really care too much, we're gonna leave the Thatcher open. We want the Valkyrie off the board because MNM played Valkyrie previously with 3 different players. Neo, Nello, Uses all had their turn with her and tried to use her gadget, and yes, didn't find the most success, but Uses was using those jump outs because of those, or was she basically using the Valkyrie cameras to jump out and get aggressive. NIP clearly didn't like that. Now, basement defense first round, and with that mirror from Julio sprinting upstairs the second the round started, we're gonna put some mirror in this upstairs, I think. We have seen Brazil do it before where you can actually put it on the bathroom wall facing jacuzzi on that top floor. Or maybe Julio will just get the hatches. Either way, it's a thankless job doing this. You gotta be running all the way upstairs, reinforcing hatches. You're a 1-speed operator. You're not the fastest, and Julio will actually be heading straight back down, so nothing but reinforcements are gonna be happening. The mirror windows will go down below. We saw SSG yesterday using this mirror pick to great effect. They were putting one on Church where Julio is right now, and the last mirror was going onto that blue wall leading into Generator, basically enforcing that or fortifying that basement bomb site, making it very hard to attack.
All right. Standard site rotation for Clubhouse doesn't really exist. The 3 bomb sites that like to get brought out by the defenders are that bottom floor, yes, the basement. What would you call it here? Because there's a first floor.
Well, this
Is there
is
2 basements, Nick?
No, this is the basement. Like now we have the basement.
So now you admit.
Yeah, because there's a staircase that goes down like you said, so it's different because they're in the basement.
Doesn't really sound like it's that different.
I mean, there's a dirt tunnel, that's different. That's unique. That's just a Clubhouse thing. So the dirt tunnel makes a difference.
All jokes aside, the 3 bomb sites that tend to come out most frequently are this church bomb site downstairs, followed up by CCTV cache above, and then the gym/master bomb site next to CCTV cache as well. The bar stock bomb site that is currently being shown on your screen, which is not a bomb site at the present moment because there's no bombs in it, is almost never played.
Yeah.
Might be brought out for a cheeky pocket strat, but that's about it. Most teams do not enjoy going there.
Yeah. And we see NIP again playing very passive, just like their last defending side where they're playing for the strategy. Same thing this time around. As we said earlier, they got the mirror windows, one on Church, one on Blue, so they're gonna give up the ground for MNM. And MNM now, they're in the driver's seat in the sense that they need to now show that they know how to attack against this setup. They got the Hibana, which means every single hatch will get opened up if that's what they want. They got the Thermite with flashbang, so it means that dirt tunnel can be opened up and a church wall, but again, as I said, there is a mirror window there. But basically, TLDR, MNM has every single tool available, including the Thatcher. All they gotta do now is actually have the strategy on paper to break this defense apart.
Bomb located by attackers.
So far, looking pretty good, working their way to this kitchen hatch. They already opened up the Moto, and I believe Dirt was opened up as well by Nello, so they're gonna be coming at all angles, it seems like.
Psycho was not able to stop that hatch from opening up, and that gives even more control to MNM. No nitro cell's been used to take the sledge out of action. There'll be a grenade dropped on in, a Thatcher grenade goes down, that'll be the Goyo shield taken out, it explodes, and that is a very key part of the defensive utility that does not allow NIP to rest easily in that hallway. Now they will have to dry peek the hall on these engagements. Exothermic charge goes off, and that's blue side now in favor of the attacker. Solotov, the very first kill of the map, takes out Psycho. The Wamai was playing down by the back of dummies. And Solotov will still watch that same position. Nello's in the middle of the bomb site now, and we'll go for the diffuser. Damage done to Nello, though. He has to fall off and chuck through the wall. He's in the middle of nowhere. Nip with 2 kills to their name, and they've surrendered the diffuser by where Nello died. Solotov will have to drop. He does just that. Looking for a kill, but unable to find one. Completely blind to where these Ninjas in Pyjamas players are. It's a little bit too late for MNM, as it's Neo all by his lonesome, and he's finished off. A bit of mercy killing from Pino. They're hoping to tie this one up as quickly as they did on Cafe, and with a round like that, Nip sure look mighty fine.
There was a very, very clear point in that round that defined the entire outcome. In fact, I'll call it 2 situations. Nello jumped the hatch, started planting. Then 2 C4s came out from the side of NIP. Nello starts running around trying to survive. He does, but the issue is there isn't a whole lot of cover against the player from NIP playing on the AK's position. Tyrant then drops the blue hatch into electric, but there's a shield in his way. He cannot get the angle onto the enemy player from NIP. He gets taken down, and that means Nello is all alone. He gets found as well, and then it's just a fumble from there. MNM did not have the opening that they needed, and the C4s ultimately from NIP ensured that Nello could not plant for free. The mirror windows made it so hard for MNM to really get an opening anywhere. Despite getting the opening pick, they could not get the round. Now, going to CCTV, and we spoke briefly about this earlier, Bandit trick in the wall is actually a very viable strategy because the Mavericks off the board, and so is the Sophia. Sophia with the Thatcher, you get essentially this trick. If you throw an EMP on that server wall, you can then do a Sophia concussion stun through the drone hole. That will stop the Bandit from tricking the wall against the Thermite or Hibana, and then you can basically open up the wall for free. But with the Sophia being banned, this is no longer possible, and that simple fact allows Julio to play the Bandit, and the only way for MNM to do anything about this is essentially to go either down below and do verticality, or there's the last trick available to them, which is that you can throw an EMP on the wall, then throws 2 Selma charges from the ace, 1 on each, and because the Selma charge activation is faster than Bandit tricking, you will get a tiny hole in the wall, thus leaving the Bandit unable to trick any longer. Either way, MNM, they have a couple of ways to do it. And so far, they're doing a split take. It's going to be Neo on the ace and Thatcher on the CC breach, with Tyrant on the master bedroom side of things.
Promising sign is that Solotov got a kill early in that previous round. It took him, what, 6 rounds to find the scoreboard back on Cafe, a bit of jitters. If Solotov does not show up, the likelihood of MNM beating a team of Nip's caliber drops significantly. You need a full team effort. Tyrant alone cannot carry the team in kills. And it's not to disparage Neo, Uzis, or Nello either. These are all 3 perfectly competent players, but they don't play an aggro entry style or that fluid roam style on defense. So if they're the ones getting kills, that's fine, but they're not the primary focus of their 3 roles.
Yeah. Just want to point out right now that yes, Neo and the Thatcher of uses did open up the server breach. They did exactly the trick where you throw an EMP and 2 Selma charges, which means that now MNM kind of in the driver's seat. Now what they're going to do, they're going to go master side. They've already taken the ground, they're in connector, and they want to get open the wall as well to side, which means they're going to get angles from both sides. And this is exactly how you're going to be pressuring the defenders, limiting the areas that are safe for them. And NIP, sure, they got the Bandit, sure, they got the mute, they also have impacts on cycle. They do have a couple of ways around it, but if MNM plays it clean, that should be all. That C4 comes out, does not find Solotov, but oh boy, it's close.
Some damage to be done, but at least that's one of the explosives on defense down. You can count that with the rest of your team. 2 minutes expired from the clock now. MNM's focus is over towards Cash side, and again Solotov starts off the round with a kill. Excellently done. An advantage for MNM twice in a row, but Solotov will pay for that. He gets dropped. Adrenal Surge burn to get him back up off his feet. I don't know if that's aware of from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Julio gets droned out. It goes by his feet. And he'll play off of this single panel, but pinched by Solotov, who's back up and once again in the thick of it. He's single-handedly clearing out Cash. Next step, look towards the top of red stairs. Kamikaze's last beauty will go out, meaning there will be 15 seconds with no coverage of that yellow gas. Pino down below, guns down Tyrant, stopped in his tracks. Flash goes out, it affects Musi and Pino. The last 3 players from NIP all sequestered in the same spot at the top of red stairs, while MNM have breach control but are also squeezing their way into cash. Down goes Solotov as it's a triple from Pino, collecting every single kill. Looking for garage control, but MNM are twisting wildly in the bomb site with limited information. Nella will have to go for that plant. Doing so will allow Neo to cover, but he's dropped at the last second and Neo is not quick enough into it. So NIP will take round number 2, along with round number 1. They're up 2-0.
MNM having a hard time there. He strategically did the right thing, got both breaches open, but then Julio's early aggression kind of chucked some damage off Nilil, made it a lot harder to plant, fearing the C4, fearing the toxic babes until the very last second. Sure, there wasn't any left at the last 15 seconds of the round, but only 15 seconds left to go. It's very, very tricky to get everything set up, ready, and locked in. NIP doing a good job at finding multiple players from MNM, taking back the man advantage. Pino had a beautiful shot from that bottom red stairs, eliminating the player from down below of MNM. Ultimately, NIP, they conquer 2-0 right now. Third bomb site comes in. 6-pick from Goyo to Goyo from Pino, saying, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to stick this operator. I'm 6-0 right now, baby. I got so many goddamn kills to my name. And the Goyo Shields, of course, very, very strong piece of utility. With the Twitch being open, it's not being played on Clubhouse. It's not very common to do that. That means the Goyo Shields are even more safe than before, as they can only really fall to grenades. But then again, there are 4 grenades available to the side of MNM. No Finger this time around. Be a Sledge, Thatcher, Ace, Thermite, and Ayana. Pretty stable lineup. You can bring this to pretty much every single bomb site. You get Verticality, you get Soft Explosive, you get Double Breach, and the Thatcher. This basically gives you every tool you need to deal with any problem in your way. But then you also gotta remember, NIP, current reigning world champions, they're really good at Rainbow Six Siege, and they're really, really sharp when it comes to gunplay. So breaching a wall is not enough for MNM. They also gotta find the picks, and that's very difficult against the likes of NIP.
Talked about the site rotation as well. It's something worth fixating on. For the newer viewers, you might not know exactly the rhythm that teams play on Clubhouse. Church down below, the first bomb site, Cache CCTV next, and then Gym Master up after that. The thing with Cache CCTV is that even when you are not defending it, if you're defending Gym Master above, you're still going to use Cache or CCTV or both as a focal point for your off-site play. That's the setup that you see being done right now from Pino. He's got a Nitro Cell in hand. If any exothermic charge or any type of hard destruction is used on the wall, then very easily can it be stopped by Ninjas in Pyjamas, especially if they have access to an impact grenade. And with 3 players from NIP all in that same area, you know that they've invested quite heavily. A very ironic term, given the fact they're going to be playing in Cache. A Nitro Cell was tossed out over towards Garage. It missed its target. There's 2 players from MNM sitting there waiting. Tyrant droning down below, and then Neo up top with a breach in hand. Solotov watching the opening. He's gotten both of the opening picks so far in this matchup, and he wants another. Musi's the first one to take some damage, though, playing at the top of red stairs. He'll wait for the jiggle peek over by the doorway. Down in Garage, and there you have it. Picking away, this is going to be a tough shot. Musi decides to continue to engage. He misses as 2 players from MNM walk through the breach. Flash is going out. Lots of action happening halfway through the round. Solotov blinded by the smoke. Kamikaze dropped. The Thermite of Neo continuing to trudge forward. MNM hitting all of their marks. 2 big kills to start things off with. It's Uses to get the first. Solotov one of his own. Wow. Just like that. 1 minute to go. It's a 5v2, make it a 4v2. First casualty for MNM is Tyrant, and down Pino goes, leaving Psycho in a 1v4. But he's in the basement, Nick, and he has to get back up top to try and defend Gym Master, which is firmly held by MNM, and they're getting the diffuser down as well. Psycho is as good as dead.
Very good job by MNM. The second Pino jumped out the window, they flushed his side, knowing last guy was in the basement. Psycho, you might have gotten a kill on the flank, but can you retake the bombs against 4 players? He says, maybe I can. Find Solotov, but there's 3 more to go, but that'll be that. Nelo finds the last remaining kill. MNM get on the board in terms of round score. 2-1 now, and that, honestly, for MNM was quite ridiculous, looking at how much chaos that was.
That round was over after we saw MNM just whisk their way through CCTV, commandeer Cache, commandeer top of red, and leave NIP in a massive hole. down, of course, in a 2v5. As valiant an effort as you're going to get from Psycho, that bomb site does just not play well to a retake. The way to get back to gym and bedroom is to go up the main stairs. But the problem is that when you go up the main stairs, you run into a brick wall. Literally.
Literally, yeah.
Literally and metaphorically. At the top of the stairs, there's a brick wall. To your right, there's the jacuzzi breach, which can be opened up by the attackers. You have to watch logistics to your left. You also have to watch the master door to your left. And then when you go into master, they can be playing by the gym wall, they can be playing inside of the bathroom, they can be playing by the logistics nook, they can be playing by construction door. That's at least 4 different spots that the attackers can sit, and they're all going to be looking in the same direction. You're only going to be able to pick one. But 4 of them means even if that number goes down to 3, they've still got a line of sight on you, and you're as good as dead. Not even the best player in the world can pull off that level of play. The sophistication would be nice, but NIP is just not that team. No team is, in fact. So MNM had control of the site. No way for NIP to get back in. Quite easy once they have control of the map, and that is a successful execute. But again, most of that happened off-site.
Certainly. I mean, you can almost argue that the round gets defined on that CCTV cache extension, right? If you, as an attacker, pull that apart like MNM did, finding 3 kills, you're now favored to win the round. And had NIP held on and gotten those kills instead, then, well, NIP gets the round as well. So the early round or mid round is kind of defined, whereas the late round is defined by the early, and therefore, oh, you win the early, you win the late, and we saw that's just what happened. We now went back downstairs, but there's a difference and change from NIP. They are now roaming. Last time in the basement on that very first round, we saw most players, if not every single player from NIP, being in the basement on the bomb site with those mirror windows. This time it will be an upstairs extension. They got 3 players right now, Pino, Musi, and Psycho, although Pino, he really quickly got out of there, leaving just Musi now as well. So NIP, the second that wall got reached out, said, you know what, we're not gonna contest too much, we're kind of scared right now, we're gonna fall back, but Musi says, you know what, I can still fire my gun towards your direction, Tyrant off the board.
Despite the scoreline right now favoring NIP 2-1, that's the first time that NIP has gotten an opening pick in this map. And another to join as well on a solid top. Musi with 2 to start it off, patrolling upstairs inside of CCTV. One of the things to note, when that defense on the previous round fell apart, usually the defenders will get out of there very quickly, but because MNM were so fast, there's just no way for NIP to do it. They were too entrenched. They used all those smokes to the best of their ability. Their ability wasn't very good. Their best wasn't very good, and they ended up getting buried for it.
Yeah. Kind of say that meme right now in this round where the second wall got opened, most players from NIP, they ran from top floor except for Musi, and then, you know, MNM can say, oh, you're stuck in here with us. Musi goes, no, you got that wrong. You're stuck in here with me. If you find 2 kills like that and you're sticking around still, I think Musi understands that he can't just fall back for free, but he wants to take as many players down with him as possible because he knows he is as good as dead. If he were to survive, that would be an ace!
No way!
Right now, he got the first 3.
Really remarkable stuff now. He'll be hunted down by Neo. 4 kills from Musi. Pop up on the thermite, and it's an ace for Musi in his hands, but he looks the wrong way. An ace denied by Nello. No way for NIP to do that, but guess what? Just because Musi made that one-man stand above and got 4 kills for it and the ace doesn't happen, the round win for NIP is almost at 100%. Just as was faced with NIP and Psycho in the previous round, now Nello will need to pull off a 1v4, but this time his job is significantly harder because he has the objective in hand. And he's going to be greeted at the bottom of the main stairs by a shotgun. That'll be the end of that round. NIP 3-1.
Yeah, and just like the round prior on that gym defense, the early round, when you're roaming on basement, kind of defines what happens throughout. If you're successful with the roam clear as an attacker, attackers, they got a good position. But if you're Musi in this position, finding 4 kills, it doesn't matter what happens when you get to the bomb site because you'll only have 1 man left standing. That was Nello. And he made his fate with by a shotgun on that bottom main stairs. Musi should not have been allowed to get away with 4 kills that previous round. You can almost argue that MNM could have spent more resources opening up the wall, droning, nading, flashing, whatever you will say, instead of just walking in and trying to take those gunfights. And that's the troublesome position that often you'll find, especially with utility, that, well, we can use the utility now and, you know, get the early round, or we can save the utilities that when we get to the bomb site, we'll have more things to throw at the defenders. But if you never get to see the bomb site, you really gotta start considering maybe we should have used it earlier. We're gonna see a bar. It happened. That now means we have seen every single bomb site on this half from NIP. And you said earlier, Par, that bar bomb site is usually a pocket strat, if anything.
Insert Michael gif. Oh my god, it's happening! Bar stock This is something that is so infrequently played, and that's because there is so little room for error. Every time a team comes to this bomb site, Nick, one small grain of sand is enough to destroy the entire machine. That's all it takes.
Yeah, and you got the Thatcher open as well. It becomes so much harder now for NIP.
The biggest focus for defenders often ends up being Jim and Master above because you want to hold over top of Billiards and try to drop through that hatch that's present inside of Jim. There's an Echo on the board, 4 Ninjas in Pyjamas that will almost certainly be used for the plant denial, but that's if MNM are even able to get there. MNM so far have 1 diffuser planted. That was the successful round they had when they had full control of Jim above, and they got the diffuser down in Master. But MNM will need to get to the bomb site and then pick off some of the NIP players, then the herd, before they're able to really do anything with it. I am fascinated to see the way that this unfolds.
Yeah, I was saying if anything for NIP, it'll come down to gunplay, right? Because with Bar being a very weak bomb site strategically, and one thing going wrong kind of, breaks the entire thing, I would assume, especially with Psycho and Vigil, that NIP wants to get crazy here and they want to get those gunfights with MNM. And so far, if you look at the scoreboard, that has been working in the favor of NIP. We're still waiting. No one's really making the first move. Solota does cook a grenade, but I don't think that's going to find anybody. But it looks like out the jammer, if anything.
We've been so focused on all the oddities that have happened in this match so far that we have not repeated the fact that Clubhouse is currently the most favorable map to the attackers, and MNM have only been able to muster a single round. Now, Cafe is a relatively even map, and it was exceedingly attacker-favored just previously. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we're looking at an attacker-favored Clubhouse again. It could very easily be held by the defenders. Barstock is usually not the bomb site that the defense does well on, but Pino getting kill number 1 onto Tyrant, Neo refragging onto Psycho. These teams are now at a 4v4 standstill. And if you're MNM, you cannot stall out here. You got to pick. You were able to equalize. It's the Vigil down. That's a roamer and a very important player in Psycho. Take control of that top floor. Continue to push because you've only got a minute left.
Very, very good point. You gotta start making moves if you're MNM, and I honestly think by the looks of it, they might have given up on that top floor because 3 players are making their way downstairs and saying, you know what? There's too many people up here. We don't know what we're walking into. There's too many jammers. They've now breached the stock wall instead, and they're gonna start making their way into bar stage, but now NIP gonna make their way back to side as well. They have Echo available. No Yokai drones alive though, so it have to come down to gunplay. There's 1 C4 from Nepo as well.
2 very important audio cues right now as Musi gets punished by Nello. Advantage for MNM. Flashes going in with 30 seconds left. Proximity alarms in the Banshee, giving away the position of MNM as they try to barnstorm on in. But again, Nello surrenders the diffuser as he's gunned down by Kamikaze. Uses, trades him out, cannot accomplish a second kill. That's Pino to get away with that. Upstairs, by the way, is Solotov, and he is miles away, but he drops just like that. Diffuser still not within reach. 5 seconds to go. Kamikaze down for the count. Pino and Solotov in a 1v1, but Pino's just going to play keep away, and frustration from Solotov as he's slowed by the Banshee evident. Ninjas in Pyjamas take the first half 4-1, still 1 more round to go for them to grow their lead.
Oh, Solotov, you need to shoot the Banshee. Remember, guys, Melusi has been changed. When you're within range, it opens up and it is exposed. 1 bullet or a melee will take it out, and therefore you are no longer slowed, and the opposing enemy will also not know your exact position. Solotov just kind of walked through it, didn't do much about it, did not want to turn around, and ultimately the time just ran out. MNM now 1-4. They got this last attacking round. See if they can make it work. Get that 2-4 split. They're gonna need it.
Well, some time to go through what just transpired on that bar stock defense and pick it apart, and I'm actually hopeful that our command center spends quite a bit of time on that bomb site, because when an unusual bomb site is played, I think it deserves quite a large spotlight. Now, speaking of unusual, we have spoilers inbound, so cover your ears for the next 10 to 15 seconds or so, starting now. The Sonics have defeated Sandbox Gaming by a score of 2-0, 7-0, and 7-3. An absolutely dominating performance, and now spoilers are over.
Wow.
I feel badly for you because you don't get to make a comment.
No, I don't.
You just have to say wow.
I say wow, yeah. I can't say like, oh, that scoreline, that's amazing. No, it's wow. I will say though, the spoiler that we just heard, it is a wow statement. It is. I did not expect it. Then again, there's been quite a lot of, there's just been some upsets. It hasn't been too crazy so far. And I wouldn't say NIP beating MNM would be an upset either. But in MNM beating NIP, that's not not an upset either as well, because NIP hasn't played the most stellar Siege so far at the 6 Invitationals. This match, regardless of the outcome, has been quite good. Unless you're MNM on Clubhouse attack, as we said, it was a 38% win rate for the defenders, and NIP getting 4 the last 5 rounds. This is a statement. Tyrant, opening kill onto Psycho. That's the Wamire off the board. It's an active gadget, not passive, but Pino traded straight back with a C4 onto the grenades of Solotov.
Well-used gadget now as that Nitro Cell claims Solotov. Solotov has been the best player for MNM thus far here on Clubhouse, making space, entering well, getting those opening picks, not being traded off right away. That's what you like to see from him. And there's a reason why you'll hear an awful lot about Tyrant and Solotov on this squad whenever things are going well for MNM. You'll hear about them when things aren't going well, too, but not for the right reasons. Cash and CCTV defense for NIP will be their last. 5-1 is an ideal scoreline for them heading into the second half, but MNM will try to prevent that. Pino's off site. He's got some barricades down below as a flash goes in, wasting time. Pino is 10-1, by the way.
I just realized.
That is an unthinkable number, and he's going to need some more as Nello and Neo combined for 2 kills of their own. Musi and Pino are in, but Musi completely botches it, and this is a replay of what we saw from Psycho. Another 1v4, MNM getting the diffuser planted. Almost full HPs for 3 players on MNM. In fact, full HP for 3 of them. Tyrant, the only one down quite low. Pino will be getting some impactless kills, and there's one to start. 11-1. Looking for more. Having to head towards the diffuser, 35 seconds left, is not an ideal situation. Through that soft wall, the tracers will go. To his left, there's another player, and he just can't outgun Nello, who does a great job sitting inside of construction, taking down the last player from NIP. Stemming some of the bleeding is MNM. Side swap coming in. NIP now moves to attack, MNM on to defense.
Both the rounds that MNM ended up winning were actually quite similar. The first round they won on attack was that gym attack where the last player was roaming from the main stairs, so they just swarmed the bomb site and they planted 1 versus 4. This round as well, they just swarmed their way in, got the kills. It was a 1 versus 4, bomb down as well. So 2 round wins, 2 plans. But the incredible thing is that out of 6 rounds, MNM had 4 opening kills, NIP only had 2. And even then, MNM could only get half of those rounds on the board. Now we got the side swap. MNM will be on the defending side of things, and they will actually start inside of bar. Not the second round, not the third round, the very first round we will open up with the pocket pick kind of bomb side, where NIP actually managed to get a W. Can they do the same? Now, the difference is, Nello is on the mirror. NIP did not bring the mirror out at all. Tyrant on the Thunderbird will be able to heal up his allies if they take any damage. I kind of like this setup. It's quite aggressive, but also quite versatile. Alibi being bought as well, meaning you have 1, 2, 3, you have 4 shotguns on the side of MNM. You can do a lot of vertical play, basically playing the entire bomb set from up above if that's what you wish. Meanwhile, Tyrant's actually in the basement.
Roaming as Thunderbird. Has the spear, not the shotgun. I think that's important to note because we did actually see the shotgun get brought by a Thunderbird at one point, but no, in this particular case, you're going to run with the AR. Quite a strong weapon.
Yeah.
And I like this spread from MNM, how just spread out they are. Again, another bar stock is extremely confusing, as you said, bringing out that pocket pick very early on, but NIP have already shown that it can work.
Yeah, there they have. So Elevate, I believe, that brought out the shotgun on Thunderbird. And I mean, if any team were to do it, it should be like, you know, APAC or Elevate, etc. We've seen them kind of play Ying shotgun as well back in the day. That became meta for a while, and that's the thing about these, like, I don't want to call it a sub-region because APAC is a primary region, and more than ever, they're extremely strong right now, but they innovate a lot. They bring weird strategies, weird ways of, I say weird, but it's just different ways of playing the game, but then all of a sudden, we start seeing major regions like EU and NA and LATAM adopting those playstyle and using them themselves.
Unique or outside the norm are the ways that I would describe them.
Certainly.
Man, I remember the days of Barstock being the second most played bomb site on Clubhouse before the rework.
It was still bad.
Control of Strip Club was particularly crucial. Hold on a second. Can we get a look at that opening in the wall, please?
Strip,
oh, okay. It's just a visual glitch. I was like, don't tell me they didn't get the whole wall, but it's the explosion glitched over the opening. So there is still a clear line of sight into the bomb site. You don't need it, though, if you're Julio. And Psycho as well towards the back of the site, looking at the B-bomb chassis. Kamikaze is there with Diffuser as well. Nip get the very first pick. Half of the round is already expired at this point, and Nip are 3 rounds away from a 2-0 over their foes. This is Nip's map, and it is an attacker-sided map statistically. We'll see if that continues to hold.
NIP going for a very different approach in their attack here. They open up both the strip wall and the stock wall, basically making the bomb site a really difficult area to be in for the defenders. And there's in fact nobody from MNM on the side. If anything, Psycho, he owns this area. And once these Maestro cameras get destroyed, MNM will be blinded. And that means NIP can start planting very soon as Kamikaze is bringing over the Diffuser.
No sets of smokes for Ninjas in Pyjamas, so they're going to be planting dry. You don't see teams use smokes to obscure plants all that often anymore.
C4.
Will it be baited out? Tyrant is there with the lineup. But no!
Oh.
Instead, he puts it away. The Nitro cell does not go off. Is there just no intel from MNM? Calamity will break loose as Julio picks up kill number 2. Neo drops, as does Musi. And it's just an absolute frag fest. Everybody trading blows back and forth, but Nip emerged with a 3v2. Diffuser still going. The 3v2 becomes a 3v1. Solotov on a shred of HP drops. And the opening from Nip earlier on inside a strip exposes MNM. And funny enough, they get caught with their pants down. Solotov in particular. 5-2 the scoreline as Nip is triumphant on their very first attack.
So NIP both wins the defense of Bar and then the attack of Bar within the same 3-round time span. That is quite impressive and also incredibly rare. Essentially, MNM did not have any information on the site. It was extremely evident as Tyrant had the C4 ripped in his hand, and once the plant came down, he had no idea in which direction to throw it. So instead, he walked back up the main stairs, but again, there's like 4 guns in his direction. He couldn't make it work, and nobody from MNM could really get much going for them. I'm curious if there was no verticality available because MNM still had top 4 presence to a degree. But again, without actual information, it can be a guessing game of where exactly NIP will be planting, although I'm sure you could assume it's somewhat where that would be. I will say NIP, well done on that breach, getting both sides of strip and stock, making sure that Nello, who was the only guy on site, had nowhere to go and fell down extremely early in that round, making it even more difficult for the defending side. Now, second defense from MNM we'll see up inside of CCTV, so I want to say that a similar bomb site rotation, but yeah, CC has been the second choice for both teams so far. NIP went basement first, not Bar, but the common factor here is that CC's been second priority, which makes good sense given the operator bans, and the same thing as well. Nello also bringing out the Bandit, both teams playing that same strategy.
It was Julio that we saw on the Bandit playing in cash, watching construction, swinging and getting ultimately gunned down. And cash defense for Nip worked out, but it wasn't necessarily because of the contributions of Julio in terms of killing, but those Bandit batteries were evidently a major factor. But as you point out, you need to actively Bandit trick, and it sure looks like that's what's happening right now on the wall. A Thatcher in play. And Nello's running the shotgun, by the way. I don't know if you noticed
I
that.
did not notice.
He has the M870 instead of the MP5.
So the thing to note here is that NIP did not bring the Ace. They brought the Thermite and Hibana, which doesn't work that well against the Bandit. But at the same time, Nello isn't actively tricking. I think he's fearing a grenade from down below. But the thing is, there's no one from NIP just there yet. And you also have the magnets from Uses, as well as him playing inside of blue. They should be covering this wall together because once this EMP gets tossed out, the wall can get open. Tyrant says no, Psycho off the board. Now they know for sure that no nades will be down below.
Poor drone work on behalf of Nip, but they get the follow-up onto Usis right now inside of blue. Common spot about to get naded. Will Nello get claimed by it? Yes, beautifully tossed by Musi. EMPs will now disable the Bandit batteries, a window of an opportunity for Kamikaze to open up the wall, and they will do so successfully. At 4v3 in terms of numbers, favoring Ninjas in Pyjamas. Solotov, I don't know if it's a desperate act or not, but his eyes are set on that breach. Exactly the halfway mark now in the round. And Tyrant gets a little bit of contest on the top of that catwalk in garage. He has to expend a toxic canister to obscure the doorway, but he's still alive for the time being. Solotov back watching that breach. Again, patrolling that position between cash and CCTV. Telltale sign of the Gone 6 to pick up a piece of utility. Sitting on the ADSs, Tyrant has now used all 3 of his toxic canisters, and he'll watch his team wither and die around him. That's Solotov off of the board. Neo and Tyrant as a follow-up for Nip, and if they are successful, it's match point. They've got Tyrant now out of Garage, and it's Neo in a 1v4. 1v4 seemingly in vogue. And, well, how about in a 1v4 leading to an 0v4? The one has never been able to pull it off, and Ninjas in Pyjamas are on map point, series point, 6-2.
Yep, that was a bit of a funky round, if you will. It just kind of fell apart from MNM. Nothing much defined it, but again, the gunfights coming out heavily favoring NIP. They're finding so many frags, and every time MNM gets an opening pick, it gets traded right back. Nello actually ran away from that main breach of CCTV and got naded because he ran away. Had he stuck nearby the breach itself, he might have stayed alive. But those are those 50-50 decisions that you make, where Nello was assuming that Nate was going to go to the breach, but the Nate didn't, so you tried to play it smart, but actually ended up getting punished. The bandit trick was very important, but neither team successfully got much value out of it, and MNM says, you know what, we had enough of top floor, gonna go downstairs in the basement of all areas, down to church, no mirror in sight.
The problem with bringing an M870 over the MP7 is that you have to have your strategy go according to plan, because if things go awry and you can't play in such close proximity with that shotgun, you're as good as dead. It doesn't have the same range that a lot of other defenders do. The key shotgun that we tend to see being lately the AA-12, which has a much, or the, well, I don't know, the ACS-12, I believe is the official name for it in the game. It has much longer range as a slug shotgun. You'll often see the two SAS shotguns get brought out as well.
M870, I believe.
That is correct. The M870 is the shotgun that the GSG-9 run, both Jaeger and Bandit. I think it's like the M1015 or something like that is the one that's being brought by Pulse from time to time as well. So the defenders will bring shotguns that have longer range. The MP7 is a mighty fine gun. In my opinion, it is one of the most consistent and reliable guns on defense, and it allows you more flexibility. But the thing is that if you want to play close range, that M870 that a Bandit will hold is much better. It is often a one-shot kill, whether you hit the head or not. The moment that you lose control of the wall, the moment that you lose control of Garage, you've got a Bandit sitting there completely ineffective at anything other than a foot or two from him, and that's just tough. You need to be confident your strategy needs to happen. If it doesn't, you end up hurting the round, and the strategy falls apart very quickly. I like what MNM are trying. It just doesn't work out.
And to add insult to injury, it wasn't even a gunfight. You died to a grenade, so you can't even shoot back because you're not fighting anyone at all.
That's correct. He got naded by, I believe it was Musi from down below.
Yeah.
So, tough position for MNM to be in. So far, they have 6 rounds to their name, and this is what I fear they were expecting coming to Clubhouse. This is Nip's playground. They are 5-0 over the last 2.5 months, and with a kill like that and 2 kills like that, 6-0 seems to be what is predetermined and most certain. Nello and Neo, the names that you might confuse yourself with when you see them quickly, are no longer in action. 90 seconds left. Ninjas in Pyjamas up in a 5v3.
I think playground is the right word right now. Cafe, that was one kind of fight, but this one on Clubhouse is very, very different. NIP is showing why they've played this map 5 times in the last 3 months and why they've won it each and every single time. And they're looking to claw towards their first actual match victory here at the E6 Invitationals 2022. Hatch being opened, multiple, actually both Kitchen and Motor dropping at the same time. Solotov looking to get active, but the drones from NIP are just too good. They're not taking any risks. They want to end it here.
Musi taking some damage in the process. The only thing that really benefits MNM is that this bomb site can be a fortress if the attackers are not particularly adept with their hard destruction, because then you are forced to either drop through hatches or funnel through narrow doorways. It's an easy prospect for defenders to pick you apart, but it certainly seems like the attackers on NIP have no problem getting these walls open, and a little bit of hard destruction as Pino will choke through that gas, looking for a kill on either Usis or Tyrant. Double drop from Nip inside of Moto. They want to rush on in, but there's another smoke to impede them. 15 seconds to go. All toxic canisters down for the count. Usis pressured inside of Blue, wandering around with one body from above. That's the first kill for MNM. Solotov gets it. Tyrant with one as well. Nip are running out of time. They've suddenly lost the lead, and Tyrant looking for more. Lines up. Julio cannot do anything, and just like I said, if your hard breach fails, your push fails. That's what happens to Nip, and MNM managed to win the round.
Absolutely correct, Parker. You said you gotta get through a narrow doorway. That's exactly what happened to NIP. They all 3 people walk through the same area, and it makes it so much easier for MNM to just hold the angle, hold down the button, and take out the enemy. I will say though, they did get a small breach onto that church wall, but nobody was there to utilize it, basically allowing users to sit near it and get 2 kills of it. Oh, sorry, Tyrant actually was. Users is playing on mine now. Same operator, different player. Tyrant got those kills and denied the entry point, doing a really good job. But now basement's locked. You gotta go somewhere else. Do you go bar? Do you go gym? Do you go CC? Right now, they say we go back to server, but this time around, there'll be no bandit on the board. Nello himself has found him on that Alda, the mighty weapon that we know on the Maestro. This will also provide them with 2 evil eye cameras. That's Maestro's gadget, also known as Bubbles, and these will provide good information, the 9 drone intel from NIP, but it's not gonna save the breach at all because they have no wall deny whatsoever.
Interesting decision to not go with any wall denial.
It's gonna be bloody.
I mean, I, for one, am very excited to see this happen. I suspect we're going to see Tyrant back up on Catwalk as all 4 panels in Garage are reinforced. This looks like a very typical defensive setup. Reinforce the 4 panels in Garage, 2 up top on the wall into CCTV, reinforce the single panel over by Cash, reinforce off construction as well, and, well, there you go. That's 8 of the panels by my count. Where are the other 2? Well, we'll find out. One is on the wall leading from the top of rafters, and then maybe the other's over by red.
Yeah, red wall as well.
There you go. All 10 of them, but Tyrant has finished off very early on. What the hell happened there? He's inside a garage. He's got access to the FMG over the shotgun. Why? Because it allows you to play smarter and engage at longer ranges from the top of the catwalk.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be available. His smoke's not available, and that allows garage control unless somebody else from MNM has rotated over in that direction. It sure doesn't seem that way, which means a key part of the map has been surrendered. You've lost garage. You didn't bring any denial for the wall, so now the wall's been opened up into CCTV, and unless there's some deeper strategy here from MNM, they look like they are in a very bad spot.
Yeah, they don't even have a C4. They have 1 single impact to their name. Remember, Nella was playing Bandit Shotgun to allow Tyrant to play FMG on the smoke. This time around, Nello bringing that secondary pistol shotgun from the Maestro, but now Tyrant's off the board. The weapon of FMG is gone, the Toxic Babes are gone, your Catwalk player is gone, and you've committed multiple ADSs to protect this player, but now there's no one there. Somebody should have sprinted through and retaken that position, because I'm really, really afraid if you're MNM right now, you have no ground on this map.
Look at the lineup for 3 of these players, too. They're all on the north side of the building, which means they're playing by red and 2 in the back of Cash. The only player that isn't on the bomb site is Uzis, who's down below. I don't know what the intended purpose of the Wamai there is. Maybe it's to try to impact from below and deny, but Solotov gets picked off. These nades from below, very smart, and 2 will hit their marks. This is utter domination from Ninjas in Pyjamas. The retake from Garage is happening, but it's way too late. Nello, the very first pick from his team, but the Wamai will have to get up that main ladder, picked apart. Kamikaze's waiting for it. Nello, the last one left, and boy, oh boy. I know he's the most experienced player for the team, but that doesn't really do all that much. 1v4, tons of bullets in the Alda, diffuser planted, but a crossfire is enough for Ninjas in Pyjamas to just crush any chance of a comeback from MNM. A scoreline of 2-0, 7-4 on map 1, 7-3 on map 2, and Nip take the series.
I think NIP can be very happy with that. They needed to show some dominance